had a job that everybody says is stable. In 2018, I became a general accountant for a large Canadian corporation, and every day I went to work, I hated it. I remember there were some days where I would look out the window and I would see the person cutting the grass, and I would think, I wonder if he would be open to trading roles, and I would even trade salaries with that person. It's pretty crazy because when I started, I was managing one plant. Basically, we had a bunch of factories. I was managing one plant or factory, and then I ended up, by the end of my time there, managing every province and the factory in every province, and doing the accounting, and I also did financial analysis for the company. The company offered to pay for my MBA and my CPA, which seems like a golden ticket, but honestly, I hated it. And every day I would go out to lunch and I would sit by the lake thinking, you have the strength to go back, you have the strength to go back. And I know there's probably a lot of people in similar situations. You're in a job or you're in a career where people tell you, oh, it's secure, you should stick with it, you just have to be in it X amount of time, and then you can retire and you'll be happy. But I think the reality is no one knows the extent of your suffering except for you. And I know it sounds dramatic to say suffering for an accounting job or any job really that is providing stability and allowing you to care for either yourself or your family. But the reality is you're the only person that has to live in that role. For me, it took my daughter getting sick. My daughter was actually hospitalized and sent to a children's hospital for a long period of time. And when I asked for time off, they said I could have a couple days. That doesn't work when you have a child that's sick. Nothing else is more important than being there for your child. Nothing else is more important than health. Thankfully, my daughter was okay, but this was a huge wake-up call to me that I needed to do something that was more flexible. This is when I decided to get into real estate and work for myself. But if something like that hadn't have happened, I might still be an accountant hating every single day of my life. And to me, I wanted to talk about this briefly just because I know people stay in that because it's scary to leave. And you know what? Real estate wasn't the easiest switch for me, and I'm not advocating that people switch to real estate because honestly, switching to real estate or switching to self-employment is really, really hard. But if you stay in something you hate, it affects your attitude. I noticed I was angrier in traffic, I was angrier at home, I was less patient, and it affects everything around you. So what you do on a day-to-day basis has a huge impact on the rest of your life, especially if you have a family, if you have a wife or a husband. Whatever you're doing for that 8 hours a day is going to come home with you at some point. There's probably a period of time where you can do it to survive. I think Dave Ramsey says get 12 jobs and just figure it out financially, but you have to factor in the emotional toll on that. Yes, it's important to be financially wise. I'm not saying just abandon ship right away, but come up with a plan. Come up with a 6-month plan, have 6 to 12 months of savings, and then abandon ship, because your happiness is ultimately more important than financial security. The other thing I want to say about financial security is financial security and having a good job, good employment, only applies when the economy is good. Being an employee of somebody else is actually not very secure. They can decide at any point that they want to cut or lay off employees, and then you're done. Yeah, you can have EI if you're in Canada. I'm not sure how it works in other countries. I assume something similar, but that's usually a fraction of what you were making, and then you're in a whole predicament anyway. That's probably a whole other video, just talking about financial wisdom. But if you're in a role today, I want to encourage you that you don't have to stay there. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, that it won't be a struggle to switch, but ultimately, you'll probably be a lot happier if you're doing something that you enjoy. If you want to listen to more topics like this, my channel is called Life Goals, and I talk about the people behind careers. I talk about how I've felt, some of the things that I've done, and I talk to other people about what they've done and how they've got to the place that they are. I feel that a lot of the time when we meet new people, we say, hey, what do you do? And then we never get to experience that person beyond that. And I think it's really important that we connect with the person behind the title, because that person could love their job, they could hate their job, and ultimately the title doesn't matter, but the person does. I think it's very important that we talk to people as if they are loved and they are important and they are human beings, not just the vocation or the salary that they're contributing to society and what status they have. Who cares about the status? Let's get to know people.